We've got the swing. So Ben's just hit a drive there, and we can see the critical number here is the angle of attack. So minus 4.4. So the driver head is travelling down 4.4 degrees at the moment of impact. And I mean, Ben's a tour player as well as a coach, so highly skilled. So high club head speed, high ball speed, 165.5 ball speed. So already it's going to be getting distance with that kind of speed. But what is the difference when we increase the angle? So we've got a 257 carry, which is still a good carry distance, off a minus 4.4 degree angle of attack. So now, Ben, if you can hit one with a positive angle, and let's see the difference. Boom. So 2.4. So it was minus 4.4 to plus 2.4. So even with my poor maths, I can work that one out. Okay, 6 degrees. Suddenly, it's gone up to 286.1 yards of carry, 305, so over 300 yard total. Similar ball speed, 167.4. So only increased the ball speed by 2 miles an hour, but increased his carry substantially because of this critical number. And if we increase that, there is a threshold that we hit where we get diminishing returns if we go too high, but we want to find where that positive angle is for us. What's the optimal? Now, if you've got a launch monitor, then you've got the perfect piece of equipment there to give you these numbers. But there's things you can be doing in your practice that can help you achieve this, and you'll see it's visible. You'll see the ball landing further away for starters, and you'll have yardage markers on your driving range. I mean, the easiest place to compare it to is the golf course. Suddenly, you're on there and you're recognising that you're further than you used to be. But what's making that difference? Well, tonight we're focusing on that critical variable, and it's angle of attack. Before we get marking, Ben, what did you feel that you did different there to make that change? Because that's quite a big change, 6 degrees.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's obviously great having TrackMan to verify the data, but it's very much a case of being intentional with what you're doing. So the first thing is to kind of imagine how high you're going to launch the ball. So for me, I was looking lower on the screen on the first one, and then allowing my body to react to that. The second one, you'd see in the video as well, I actually looked up higher on the screen, and again, I aligned my body in conjunction with that shot and that launch that I wanted to do. So as a result, the two swings didn't feel that different. From a path point of view, they're quite similar, but massively different in terms of how the club was approaching the ball through impact, and it's all down to intention.
You're matching the feel to that intention, so that's going to be a good place to go. So Foz, same for you now. So we're going to hit one on the down. Thanks, Ben. That was awesome, mate.
No worries.
Foz, 0.2 angle of attack down. Now I know this is not normal for Foz because he's got a positive angle with his driver. 155 ball speed, 249.4 carry. So they're the numbers that we're getting out with a lower kind of angle of attack. So now we'll go with the positive, the high angle of attack, Foz. Well done, Foz, awesome. So we can see suddenly 4.2, big increase, more like the normal angle of attack for Foz. Over 260 carry now, so big increase in distance, up to 285 total distance, 152, so a similar ball speed, but big increase in carry. What did you feel you did there, Foz, then in between the two swings? What made the difference for you?
It felt pretty similar to Ben feeling wise. I mean, it is for me, I think about the hips a little bit, almost the belt buckle, and get the belt buckle working up that way, rather than sometimes to the first one you go down, you know, I particularly stay into it, it sort of points a little bit lower there and it comes out low like that, so I almost get a feeling of the belt buckle working up that way.
Shot wise, anything are you thinking of when you're visualising the shot for the lower ball slightly?
Yeah, I mean, I'd actually use that shot on a tight hole, me personally, you know, the lower one.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you would play a lot of tree line courses. I actually quite like that shot if you've got to keep it in play, so it's a shot I'll use for a tight hole, and then if you've got to carry something, that's when you get the tee up and try and work that way up. or vertical.
Really interesting insight there. So Fozza's thinking more about the intention there internally with the swing. Ben was talking about the external focus of the shot. What was interesting, Ben, what would you recognise with your swing that you also, so like Fozza starts to talk about swing a bit there, what do you recognise in your swing? What, anything you particularly do in the backswing to help you achieve that positive angle in the downswing?
Yeah, so for me it's very much a case of connecting with the load in the right side, and I'm using that to help you on the way down and through to go upwards to then launch it up. So it's a feeling that I've got of really loading into the ground and then extending upwards.
So you were talking about this earlier, Foz, so when you swing back, where do you sense, for the higher ball flight, where would you tend to have your focus on?
I go to the feet with that, and it's definitely getting as far into this right heel as I can. Momentum will bring that off. I never think about lifting my left heel. I'll sort of know the longer I swing it, that'll come, and it'll come through this working that way and getting into there. I never try and I never try and pop it or bring it. It just comes from the momentum of that working that way.
So you can see what's happening to Foz's upper body there, similar to what you were talking about, Ben, as well, where that pressure's moving back. They're focusing on basically getting back into the right side, so they're rotating, which is allowing them to rotate their upper body and essentially shift a little bit, because it's providing that platform to allow them to shift their upper body now, so they can start to recenter, if you like, on the way down. So they're going to change direction, and this is allowing them to swing the club on the up. Quite often in a golf swing, I think we get a little bit too obsessed on staying centred. And in an effort to stay centred, it restricts our ability to actually move. And with a driver, we want big ranges of movement, big rotations. And if we're trying to hit the ball on the up, think about throwing. If you were going to try and throw a ball on the up, what's the first thing you're going to do? You just do this. Trying to throw a ball low, don't really need to shift. It's kind of because the body's organising the posture around the intention. But if you're restricting that ability to adapt the posture, you're restricting your ability to release the club how you need to for that angle of attack. So it's recognising where you need to let your body move to. So these guys do it instinctively, but they're able to articulate what they're feeling because they're aware of what they're doing. So they're aware of where the pressure is. What can we do to help encourage this when we're practicing? For a change, I'm not going to be doing the coaching today, okay, or maybe a little bit later, but George is really happy in the background, okay, I'm sure you are all at home too. So Ben is going to basically just talk through what he would do with Foz and how Foz recognises what he's doing, and I'll leave you to it, I'll shut up.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so Foz, if we use you, obviously we're looking at the critical variable of the attack angle. Obviously our connection point with the golf club is through the hands, so they're going to determine, as well as obviously the movement of the body, how that club head moves in relation to the ground. So Foz, if you just hit another one where you just hit one on the way down, and then what we'll do afterwards is just have a look at how his hands travelled. To hit it down lower, which is, you're kind of level here, mate, which is good. Those hands will be travelling kind of either downwards or quite flat-lined here.
Yep.
On the way up, if you then show the action, you don't have to hit a ball. Yeah, there you go. So you can see the difference in how the hands are moving. So the hands are obviously moving in conjunction with Foz's key part of his belt buckle going upwards, but then it extends down the chain, so then the club head's moving up. So you've got all of these things working in conjunction. So that's where I'd go to control the attack angle, really through the hands and how it interacts with the body and the club.
Bear in mind what Foz just did then with that low intention, the intention of the low ball flight was 0.4. So here's a ball, Ben, if you want to. Mm-hmm. So on the up then, so what would be the comparative sense of it in on the up and feeling that hand path?
Do the hands just react, Foz, with you to the belt buckle, or do you feel them? Do you get in touch with them?
Yeah, there is there's a connection. Yeah, there is. I mean, you've described that perfectly for me. To be honest, that's exactly for that shot I've just did.
Yeah.
I feel a low through.
Impact.
Yeah. And so I mean, it's a perfect description for what I've just called my straight shot, which is what I'm trying it on a tight hole.
And then on the up. And you can even tell as well, contact with the tee. So when you're hitting down, you're going to disrupt this T a little bit more and even break a few. This one he's just clipped, so it's a really nice bit of feedback as to how he executed. And as you can see, again, he's gone back to 4 up there, and a huge increase in carry distance again.
Really interesting, working both ends of the chain. So that's input from the hands and the club, okay, and we can also go to the other end of the chain, interaction with the ground. So it's interesting how both of you guys talked about loading into the heel or loading back. So we're looking at interaction with the ground, interaction with the ball, both of our connections to our environment, and what we're sensing, letting the body join the dots between the two. And this is all really valuable sensory input, and we're fortunate today because we've got this quantifiable outcome here. We can really see the difference between what these feelings are producing. As a caveat to that, really, with the body, you talk about feeling yourself loading back, Foz. When you swing back to it, what do you feel in the swing now with the feet? You talked about the feet earlier as well, so you've nailed that with Ben with the hands, that's that feedback. What about the feet? You were saying you can feel the difference in the flight through the feet.
Yeah, I'd almost, I'm a visual person, as you know, I'd almost have a picture of the plate kind of thing, really, as in, you know,
this is Ben earlier, but this is the kind of, this is what he's meaning, left foot, right foot, and the pressure kind of footprint and how the pressure's moving.
Where my pressure is before or at address, because obviously, you know, you drive, you get in there, so where is it there? And then my last thought would be where I'm trying to take it to, really. So I get a good movement and get loaded into there.
Which is creating all those conditions for that body movement to then swing and produce that hand path that Ben's just been talking about with Foz, because for the hands to travel on the up, look how the body has to orientate itself here. There's a movement pattern with the body, there's a form that is associated. It's all down to each individual's preference and feel. We're all different, so it's not going to look the same for everybody, but there is going to be some kind of similarity there to enable this hand path to go up. So where do the hands have to come from? Well, they're coming from down to go up. How do we get that? We've got to move back. We've got to get back here to facilitate this. So little things you can do. Obviously, how do you get, if you're at home and you haven't got a pressure plate, you haven't got a TrackMan, okay, what can you do to actually feel pressure in your heel? So something like the very expensive tennis ball, popping it under your heel. Now this is not a quick fix, okay, this is just sensory input, helping you to interact with your environment in a slightly different way to help optimise your movement. So it's like putting that there now, if you compress that ball, your pressure's gone into your heel. It's as simple as that, and letting your body, how does your upper body now move, and what potential do you have to move your upper body when you do that? Try moving without pressing the tennis ball. What's it like if you don't press the tennis ball and keep the knee flexed? You might feel more resistance. So what Foz was talking about, he said, and part of that movement he was explaining was he feels this go back. So what does that do? It enables him to rotate his torso and move his torso. This is helping to set up that hand path for that positive angle that him and Ben were talking about. Like anything, there's no one way of doing it. But thinking about the interaction with, like Ben said, you and the golf club, that's the hands. Thinking about the interaction between you and the ground, and that's the feet. And that's allowing the body to organise its movement to create that shot. And that is where it all originates from, the intention of the shot. So these guys instinctively know what it feels like to hit it low and what it feels to hit it high. Maybe your ball flight is always high or always low. So doing things like this, if your ball flight's too high, maybe you need to do the opposite. Okay, maybe the hand path is going too up. Okay, but that's for another day. Today we're talking about maximising that angle of attack, increasing that distance. And I think that was a perfect demonstration, guys. Absolutely brilliant. So thanks a lot for your involvement. Cheers, Foz. Awesome display as usual. The new boy on the scene, Ben.
Thanks, mate.
Amazing.
Well done, Ben.
Thumbs up all round. And we'll see you next time.